Shouldn't this be the select board
Has the patient picked up on COVID again?
instead of Board of Selectmen?
Reading, starting reading the article again. Numbers seem to be going up.
Can't sign it, even though I just
Severe,
did.
but-
We can sign the other pages,
I would
but
sign it, and now it's
Yeah,
an incidental.
but it
fine.
should be a
If they
search.
come in for
It should be a
something else,
search to
yeah,
make sure there's no other Board of
Cross it
Selectmen.
out and
and it's sort of a.
It says select board on the
secondary
back page.
Says select board as well? Okay, well, I would suggest we sign it and have it searched.
Question is, where was it produced? Is it produced right in our own?
Well, if it's not, we can get it changed. Page 20. Okay, looks like we're all together. Are we on? Good evening, welcome to the Town of Hanover Select Board meeting of July 25th, can you believe it, 2022. We're here tonight to have some fun and do work for the town. As always, the first order of business is public comment. David?
My name is David Vincelet. I live at 93 Lebanon Street in Hanover. I've been calling for a month to the new town manager, but I haven't had a call back yet. I've been interested in talking to you about what's going on with this town because they're involved in all kinds of serious crimes. The college dumped poison and toxic waste for years. It was finally discovered. Before it was discovered, we found out that Hanover was dumping, with the college, was dumping asphalt waste, coal tar all along the gravel roads in Hanover in violation of state law. And what I understand is you have a background in using things to their fullest benefit. And I don't know if you've been appraised that the town used asphalt waste for years, dumping it along the water where it went into our water system and fouled our water system. It's a violation. There's a state law, RSA 146, does not allow asphalt waste dumping to enter state waters. But the town was found by the Department of Environmental Services to be dumping asphalt waste in violation of state law where it went into the brook, fouled the water. Because I stood up, this town and this group right here, these 5 individuals and the previous town manager, voted to put a fence around my property, holding me, my family, and 9 other people in violation of our civil rights for 25 months. And although I've come to this board since November 16th, 2016, November 9th, 2016, I've come and asked them to get the federal government, the FBI, to investigate. They've refused. The Hanover Police Department has refused to call in federal investigators, even though federal crimes have been involved. Now, you come in the middle of this, but your predecessor, Julie Griffin, made $2 million hiding the criminal polluting of town waters for over 20 years. And it shouldn't be something that you take as you have an opportunity to do something as devious. Now, Julia Griffin is gone, ding dong, but the crimes remain and have not been investigated. And the group here, every one of them has violated their right, their order, their oath of office to tell the truth. They've all been led by Peter Christie, who has told me for the last, 17 years I've been coming here to these meetings trying to get somebody to do something about dumping of illegal pollution in our brook where we swim and play and baptize people. Peter has lied to the public repeatedly, saying that he was answering my questions in writing. He has never answered a single question in all these years. He has lied to me, he's lied to the Catfee community, these are recorded so that there can be open government, but instead, there's a closed government. There's a Dartmouth government. They have the Dartmouth symbol up on the top, up on their wall. The Baker Tower Library with a Native American on top of it has been a symbol for this town for 98 years, I believe it is. And they refused to take it down, even though Dartmouth took it down because it was obviously a racist stereotype depicting a Native American boy who's being fed alcohol and drugs, tobacco, after having his land stolen from him.
David, could you please wrap up?
No, I'm not going to wrap up.
Yes, you have 2 more minutes, David.
You don't tell me how many minutes I
You have 2 more minutes, David.
You have 26 years of abusing the public, and you think I have to do it in 5 minutes to tell this new man what's going on? Good luck.
I'm not looking for a confrontation.
I don't
Please
care about
address-
whether you want a
please address your
confrontation. There is a confrontation between the truth and the lies.
Please, you address your comments to me, and you have 2 more minutes.
I want to find out if Alex has spoken to Dartmouth College yet. I'm asking you that question. Has Alex talked to Dartmouth College? Has he taken time out from his schedule to speak with the president of Dartmouth College or any of their people who are leading the show around Hanover? There's my question. Can you answer it?
You will be giving us an update on his initial
Yeah,
activities.
bullshit, right? You tell me you're going to get back in touch with me. You've never gotten back in touch with me. Anybody who goes back and looks at these records can see that you're a liar, Peter. You have never answered a single question in all the years I've come here. Alex, have you been contacted by Dartmouth?
David, Alex did not answer
Alex.
the question.
Alex, are you a boy or a man?
David, you are just, David, please.
No, you go away.
Your time is up.
No, my time is not up. Alex, are you a boy or a man?
That's a good idea.
You're going to pay you're going to get
I make
paid
a motion
over $100,000 a year.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. 10 minutes. Okay, if we're on. Okay, I'm calling the board out of recess. Our apologies to all of you. Unfortunately, David is a frequent visitor, and his concerns have been voiced many, many times. And we've learned that to respond to him is just to increase the antagonism. We answer one question, he asks 4 more, and then we have 16 more and 24 more. So we've just learned, unfortunately, the best way is to just let him have his speech, give him his 5 to 10 minutes, and then ask him to leave. It's the first time he's refused to leave. Okay.
Peter, I think also just to clarify for the public that from a legal perspective, there has been investigations, there have been court cases,
Yes.
and every time it's been found in favor of the town. And the most recent one was with the police department and the state representative. So there's been plenty of opportunities for outside review beyond the select board, and they continue to say, no, there's not a problem.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so our first order of business is I move that we approve the petition and underground license sole owner petition from Liberty Utilities at Berrill Farms Lane, and to authorize town manager to execute all necessary documents.
I'll second that.
I just want to give a background on this. I think we may have someone here. Please, introduce yourself.
I am Mel Emerson from Liberty Utilities. I'm the petitioner for the underground license for Berrill Farms. You have the petition in front of you.
We do.
You'll notice well, it may not be as apparent to you as it is to me, but largely this petition covers the underground facilities, and we're really rebuilding the existing facilities almost in place, with the exception of, from Pull Box 5, heading westerly to Transformer number 5. It's an unnamed street, but we are currently located on the same side of the road with the water utilities, and we are proposing to move to the other side to give each party more space to work. So if you had to repair a water main or water line, you wouldn't be in conflict with the electric utilities. Other than that, we are largely in the same footprint as the existing facilities.
My understanding this has been reviewed by staff and supported.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Mel. Nice to see you.
Good to see you now.
Say hi again.
I will.
Next order of business is to continue discussion regarding the proposed adoption of a rental housing code ordinance. Alice, you want to give us an update?
Sure. So we had a couple conversations internally and decided that this is not something that we want to make sure that we have the right ordinance before all of you. So I know there was a couple back and forth with some edits. We're getting pretty close. We've got to do some legal review. We did have some meetings in-house, and I did note in my report there was just a couple things that I'll mention that came out from those meetings that I think are sort of valuable insights, which is making sure that we can integrate the fire department, especially one of the captains of the fire department who has done a lot of continuing education work to kind of learn about community life safety issues, and that we want to make sure that that's integrated into the new program. Also thinking about, for certain higher risk inspections, doing a sort of collaborative inspection between planning, zoning, and code and the fire department potentially, and also increasing some of the educational outreach activities with planning, zoning, code and the fire department in the community, and especially on campus, about fire safety and tenants' rights. So those were just a couple things that came out from some of our conversations in-house, and feel like we're moving towards a more clear ordinance based on the feedback from the last meeting.
Good. Joanne, you have some thoughts about the
Yeah,
process?
I think we had been heading down a path of scheduling a public hearing soon, and I think it might be worth our while to, once we feel, town staff feel that we have an ordinance that we can really get behind and it's achieving the goals that we want to achieve, I think it might be worth having a working session with some of the major landlords. So in the community, and anyone, I mean, it would be a public meeting, but like not a meeting like this, but a meeting around the table, just to get feedback and comments from the people who are going to be most affected. So it just like adding another step taking their feedback, perhaps incorporating changes if we all agree on that. I don't know, does that sound like an okay idea? Got a thumbs up from Rob?
Yes,
I don't know, what do you get, what does the select board think?
I think we need to get it right. And I agree that the one that has been proposed was difficult. And I think we can do better at explaining it, simplifying it, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm all in favor of that. And to the extent that there are stakeholders who don't feel they've had an opportunity, again, we're gonna come up with something, I think, perhaps different than what we've seen before. So it's really not starting all over again, but it's going back to first base. So I think additional, another process of community engagement, I think, is always positive.
Would you like us to be proactive and kind of use whatever content, would you like us to try to reach out to landlords and maybe some other stakeholder groups? Like specifically to invite them out to discuss, or is this sort of a posting and?
I think word will get out, but I mean,
Okay.
if you have a list, but I think
Well, if we do.
I think there are people who are I've heard from several, landlords and large property owners, and, I think it might be, I don't know, we've got a couple landlords here at least, but I think it's a good idea to engage the public. Do we have to have a banner across Main Street? I don't think we have to go to that level. I think you'll spread the word, is my guess.
What we had briefly talked about too, and perhaps we can also do, is after that meeting, I think there's questions that are probably common questions, and we could create a sort of FAQ document with
Yep.
some questions and answers, and then also distribute that publicly after that
Yeah.
meeting, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are interested, they would go to the website if they can find it on the website. And FAQs would be helpful, like, why are we doing this? And, and I,
Eventually, we will have to have a public hearing.
Yes.
and
in
that
this
will just,
format,
yeah,
But I see no reason, I know it takes time, but I think, again, our goal is to get it right.
or as right as we can get
Right
it.
as we can get it. So the process would be, the proposal is the next draft come out of the town offices. We review that, and then if we like it, then we have another public process by which we open it to the public, and then we have a public hearing, and then we adopt it if we want to.
Yeah, I think after the working session, if there are modifications as a result of the working session, it might need to come back to us
Oh, yeah.
before we kind of schedule the
I think
public hearing.
You're gonna have to have a public hearing
Yep.
specifically for that at a select board meeting.
Yeah, well, and we'll need that to adopt it, so, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, could I just ask a question on the steps? Could we just go through the steps one more? I just want to make sure we are on the same,
Staff generates the next
okay,
ordinance, the next version. The select board reviews it,
okay.
and it makes whatever comments or changes we want to it. We involve some sort of community participation. Then whatever adjustments are made. And then it comes back for a public hearing.
Okay.
Good.
When the draft comes to the select board, that would be at a meeting like this. So that obviously the public could be sitting here
Yep.
and make some comments after we chat back and forth a little bit. So there's still, there's to be public input possible during that discussion.
Absolutely.
And whatever the draft that's modified, that's the one that this would go back to the staff and then present at the public hearing at the following date, whatever it might be.
Joanna's really proposing a different format for that. The people can come to the meeting when we're discussing it and comment on it. She's also addressing a different format that might be.
In between that meeting and then the public hearing? That's why I just sequence, or before that. I'm just trying to follow. 'Cause
Okay,
if we have a meeting, it's public.
I know, but we're sitting up here at the DS, at the Lord's Prayer here, or whatever this is, and we're not sitting at a table with our sleeves rolled up and working with the community who
Well, would that be
knows.
with the staff and then maybe two of
No,
us?
okay, so essentially what I'm saying is, staff come up with the next iteration, we review it, if we are good with the essence of the draft, then there's a working session with
Anyone who wants
stake
to attend.
anyone who wants to be at a table with their sleeve, they have to roll up their sleeves though, and have a dialogue about what's there. It will be open to the public, it will be publicly noticed. Staff takes it away, takes the comments, incorporates them, and then brings it to this august body. We give it a thumbs up or say, and then we schedule the public hearing. So
Okay. Well, I'm trying to clarify, is that at the public community gathering around the table, if any select board members attend, it only can be 2. Because if you have 3 or more, you have to declare a meeting.
it's,
So I'm just trying to be legally.
It will be a notice meeting.
We could
so it'll
notice
be a
it.
notice
the
meeting.
meeting's gonna be noticed.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all. I just wanted to clarify to make sure we're clear.
Yep, gotta do it right.
Okay.
And in terms, Mr. Chair, of putting it on a fast track, is it reasonable, Rob, to do this before August 8, such that our August 8 meeting? No, I'm getting a no.
I don't think so.
That's gonna be tough.
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If the question is, can you have the draft for your first review by August 8th, the answer is yes.
Thank you.
If the question is, can we facilitate the public meeting and get it ready for a public hearing, no.
I understand. I'm very content with the
Good
first
question.
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
I wasn't
actually at
following it.
council for review as of 7 o'clock tonight.
Lovely. Great.
So we'll set
Thank you,
down
sir.
for August 8th, a line item to discuss the revised draft.
I'm going to offer that my approach will be, once I have council's review,
Yeah.
send it to Peter.
Okay.
And if Peter gives me the thumbs up,
Good idea.
I'll distribute it to the board.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that, sorry for the complicated thing, it just felt like the thing.
No,
to do.
that'll work.
The next step is really clear.
Yes.
We'll get a draft by August 8th. Okay. Rob has been very patient with my,
Line Peter. Ask if anyone has-
Is there any questions on this? Further ideas, questions? Okay. So we have continued our discussion, we have a plan. Next item is the approval of a New Hampshire Department of Safety appointment of Donna Stender, Deputy Tax Collector and Assistant Town Clerk as Town of Hanover Municipal Agent. Good luck explaining this one.
Well, I mean, New Hampshire state statutes are very simple and clear on all of these appointment processes. So this was with an employee who left to occupy this position. The appointment to this has to be made by the select board, so I have another signature sheet for everybody here if we do make the appointment. And beyond that, Donna Stender is a fantastic employee, and we're very happy to see her in this role.
Okay, so we're just making this move tonight with Donna.
Yep.
I know there's a bigger plan afoot for how to organize that whole department. But
That's right.
That's not what we're dealing with tonight.
That's right, and this is just the piece of allowing Donna to be the municipal agent so she can do vital records, motor vehicles, things of that nature.
Okay.
I'll move that we approve the appointment of Donna Stender as Deputy Tax Collector and Assistant Clerk.
So second.
Nancy seconds it. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Donna. I move we approve the copier lease for the Howe Library.
Second.
Nothing special about this, is there, Alex? It was approved in the budget, and we're just following through.
That's correct.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
We have an abatement request on a sewer property bill for the amount of $500 and some, if my memory is correct. It's because a meter was malfunctioned?
Meter malfunction, $585, yeah.
Okay.
I
Probably located 18 West Wheelock, yeah.
move we abate the $585 bill for this property.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, so one of appointments, Board of Adjustment. Alex, can you take us through these appointments, or?
Sure, I don't have a lot to add beyond what is in the agenda. We do have Bill Fischel for the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And so these were all reviewed prior to me coming in, but the staff did review them and are recommending each of these 3 appointments. So that's Bill Fischel. Fischel, thank you. That's all right, I'll pronounce each 3 wrong. For the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and Michael Cox for the alternate for the Planning Board, and Mark Bellevue for Advanced Transit Board.
These are all people that are re-upping, I believe.
I don't
No?
know if Michael is.
Oh,
I think
you're
the
right.
others
I know.
are.
The planning board one is,
I
Yeah.
don't think, was Mark on the, he is on the, oh, wow,
Yeah.
who knew?
and Bill was.
I should have known.
Okay.
And Alex, I think Belleville, that's how we pronounce it.
Yeah, Bill.
Any questions about these appointments? All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you for,
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
we love volunteers.
Okay, we have the minutes of June 20, I believe. I've been through them, I had no additions or corrections. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to June 20? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? They are approved. Administrative report. Alex, what have you been up to in your first month?
Well, I'll run through a couple things here. I did, the administrative report was also posted with the agenda packet on the website for the public to see. And this is my first administrative report, so any feedback, please provide, too long, too short, et cetera. And a couple different things. So the first is I just want to thank Julia and Kerry and some of the other department heads and staff for making, and yourselves for making this transition and coming into this position relatively smooth as far as municipal government is concerned. And so that's been really wonderful, a lot of support, a lot of help from people getting up to speed. And so I mentioned in the report just a couple things that I've been doing to sort of get up to speed that I'll kind of gloss over here. But a lot of meetings, a lot of learning, a lot of getting to know people, my counterparts in other towns, some of the volunteer board chairs and individuals in town, residents, students, business owners, anybody that wants to chat can reach out to Kerry in my office. And just starting to schedule some meetings a couple weeks out. It's been a little crazy, as we both can attest to the last couple weeks. But would love to chat with people and learn more about the community. So it's been really wonderful kind of getting up to speed, just generally speaking. I mentioned that housing is obviously one of the biggest priorities that we talked about in my interview process, and I know in the community survey. And I just wanted to mention that in the report that we are looking at some of the redevelopment plans that have been discussed over the past several years, some of the different projects from the college's standpoint. Are there ways that we can use housing to recruit and retain employees? Lots of different questions. A lot of those conversations are with regional organizations like Vital Communities and some of the other communities in our area. Hiring and current staffing, I'm not going to, I did mention in the report that I'm not going to go through every single position that's open. You can just go to the website and find those. But we are talking about, looking at the job description process. How do we market the community? How do we make sure? I give an example in here about recruiting police officers and making sure that they know that, for example, that in a community like this, the capital program is very strong and the police department has, certainly not all, I don't think anybody's got everything exactly what they need, but they have a lot of what they need to do a good job. And not every community is like that. Not every community supports each of the staff and departments like the way many of them are here. And so that's a selling point that we should sort of, advertise. Thinking about creative ways to try and hire people, especially people who might not even be in the area. And so there's going to be kind of a longer, more comprehensive report. This is connected to some of the housing issues as well. One thing I did want to mention, and we're going to post on the website as well, which is that due to staffing shortages in our front office downstairs right below us in the lobby, between 1:30 and 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, we are not able to process the registered agent services. So motor vehicle registrations, vital records, things like that. that is because we have one employee working in that office, and they definitely need to be able to take a break. And so we did set up a kiosk downstairs, so if you do want to come in, or let's say you don't have home internet access or anything like that, there is a computer downstairs that has shortcuts to be able to do motor vehicle renewals, to pay your property taxes online, to pay a parking ticket, anything like that, you can now do downstairs in the lobby. And so that relieves a tiny bit of pressure, hopefully, on our staff. But we just ask that people are kind of patient with us. We do have some candidates that we're interviewing for the position, so hopefully we'll be back to having at least 2 people down there soon. But for at least July and August, we wanted to say between 1:30 and 2 p.m. That not to expect that we can process those sorts of things. I included an update in here, which I won't run through unless anybody wants me to, about some conversations with community members at Mink Brook Trail and Point. I don't know if that's something you want me to go into here, or if you want to just refer people to the update that's included there. If people looked at the agenda and don't have the link, we can send that. It didn't go through on that PDF that was posted on the website. But we are working with some community members and residents in that area to address some concerns that they have about overuse of Mink Brook Trail. We do have a larger question and conversations about our town clerk. I know this has been discussed here before. Again, one of those not simple issues from the state perspective, and trying to figure out how to make things kind of work for what our needs are. So myself and our HR department and Tina Stearns, our Director of Administrative Services, and our town clerk, Bobby Hitchcock, have been having a whole bunch of meetings. We're not quite ready to announce some of it yet, because some of it is hiring related, and so we're hopefully gonna have something for you in the next meeting for the deputy town clerk position. We are moving some office spaces around in town hall to give the clerk and incoming deputy clerk and the supervisors of the checklist a better office space that they can use for election-related activities. Everything that we're going to be sort of putting together and proposing for the August 8th meeting is sort of an interim solution, and not quite sure what the long-term plan is yet, but definitely want to kind of note that now that we kind of still need to figure out something. I think we'll be able to figure out for the rest of this year, but after that, we're hoping to have a different solution in place by the end, or by 2023. So we'll talk about that a little bit more on August 8th. But I do want to also thank especially Bobby Hitchcock and the other folks that have been involved with this, because they're putting in a lot of time to make sure the elections, obviously this is one of the most important things that we can do as a local government, is ensure a smooth election process. And so that is taking a tremendous amount of time from people to make that all work. Next is some conversations that I've had with some business owners and some other stakeholders, such as the Upper Valley Business Alliance. We're kind of kicking around some ideas around having a sort of economic development downtown Hanover committee, or maybe some quarterly meetings with some business owners, a couple different stakeholders, to talk about recruiting and retaining businesses in Hanover. And what can we do to make working with the town easier? What can we do to recruit new businesses? What are the needs of business owners? And so I've had conversations again with a couple different stakeholders there. Not quite ready yet to put something formal together, but that's one of 2 committees that I wanted to bring up, in part because I don't know how to create committees. And so looking for some guidance there, but also wanted to obviously keep all of you up to date and see if there was a board member. Don't have to answer tonight, don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if there is somebody who's interested in participating in some of those, we would love that. And I think so far the business owners, maybe about a half a dozen, have been really enthusiastic about kind of having some kind of regular scheduled meetings to talk about this stuff with the UVBA, so everybody's kind of part of the conversations. Another thing that I'll just sort of call out, I have had a couple conversations with different stakeholders at Dartmouth College, students and staff and faculty, and just wanted to sort of make sure to mention that one of the things that I'm hoping to do on maybe both of these committees, the next one I'll talk about in a moment, is create a position that is sort of a student position on there, so that we kind of are designated that we always want to make sure there's somebody from the student body who is participating in some of these conversations. It seems like some really bright, creative people there who want to get more involved, and can we create more, pathways to plug them in? And so that was something I just wanted to call out. The next committee is the Civics Committee. I'm open to ideas on other acronyms, but Civics stands for Community Information, Volunteerism, Inclusivity, Communication, and Service. And the idea there is to help coordinate and consolidate a whole bunch of different programs and activities related to technology, media, communication. So we've got a website project that we're just beginning, a new town logo project that will hopefully involve some community interaction on that. The creation of a sort of blog, newsletter, podcast, once a month for my office that will be sort of updating on what we talk about in the select board meetings. I'd like to spotlight an employee each time, and get a chance for the community to kind of get to know all the staff, and especially some of them do some really cool things. Well, they do some cool things at work, but some of them do some cool things outside of work too. And just kind of bringing people into that process a little bit. So with all of these kind of different projects up in the air, and there's a bunch of other ones, it seemed like it would make the most sense for, not to be navigating that on my own, and with some other staff, of course, helping, but to actually bring a group together with some stakeholders to work on that together and to sort of build the plane a little bit while we're flying it, but to talk about how to engage people in those ways, maybe do some surveying of different community stakeholder groups, and kind of figure out how do people want to plug in, where do they want to get information, how can we improve the website. I think the answer is anyway. So I think, so that's, I'm really excited about that. I know that was a really big part of what we all talked about in the interview process as well. Two last things here. One is in some conversations with Vital Communities, which is just such a fantastic organization to get plugged in with, and the work that they do. There's so many great nonprofits in Hanover and in the area, but with them and the city manager in Lebanon, we've talked about different programming that can sort of help facilitate challenging conversations or on tough topics. It's an issue that we've seen a handful of towns in the area struggle with, I think, when something pops up. And there is an organization called Braver Angels that helps facilitate sort of cross-partisan and cross-demographic conversations and helps people kind of learn skills on how to navigate conversations that are just really hard to have. And so they're thinking about doing that in Lebanon. I can send you all more information, but I was asked to certainly invite all of you to that meeting. We're not sure when the date is going to be yet, because they were planning on doing something and then had to move the date. So if anybody's interested in attending that, just kind of for fun, let me know, because I think they can schedule around people's schedules. And in the future, this could be a fun thing to do maybe for different boards, kind of like a continuing education program that we could offer, is how to have these, how to have hard conversations or conversations about important issues that really matter to you. And last thing is, on the technology side, I've started talking to our IT department. We've been working on laying out the beginning of developing a kind of IT strategic plan. The reason why that's a little on the shorter term side is we want to make sure to be ready for the budget process. So when we start getting into budget things in a couple months, we want to make sure that we have a little bit of a framework from a technology standpoint, so that when we talk about capital costs especially, we have a little bit of at least some ideas of what we might want to or need to spend over the next X many years to upgrade technology in a couple different areas. So we're beginning some work on that. And that's it.
Is that all? I mean, really? We've been here for what, 4 weeks?
Just as a public note, we will be having in our non-public session an opportunity to draft very specific goals for Alex for the next 6 months, and I'm almost positive one of them is going to be, don't try to do too much too soon, and forget that one, forget that.
So I'm already failing on that goal.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying. So.
No, it was wonderful to see your report, it was wonderful to see all the ideas, it was wonderful to see all the enthusiasm behind them, and just thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions of Alex? Select board reports. I'm going to go over here now.
I I don't have anything to report. I missed the bike walk committee meeting at the beginning of the month, so I confess, I was out of town.
Nothing to report.
The Hanover Conservation Commission meets every month, at least once a month. We had another excellent meeting. Jim Kennedy will most likely be stepping down in September. You can't replace him, you just have to try to identify maybe even as many as 2 or 3 others who have collectively all the knowledge and experience that he brings to the table. But we will be definitely looking, and we are recruiting hard to try to find additional people who want to participate in the Conservation Commission. So if there's anybody out there that has an interest, please let myself or Whit know, and we'll get a chance to talk to you about it. Anything else?
Jim has done an amazing job, but I have nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
Actually, I do have one thing.
Good.
Of course, I have to say something. That Jenny Chamberlain, who's the chair of the Bike Walk Committee, and a number of other people have worked really hard to update the 2011-2012 Bike Walk master plan, and it's in a draft form right now, and it's available for review, and it is being reviewed by committee members and updated, so.
Where is it available for review?
Well, it's on the Google Drive, but I'll make sure it gets posted to the website. Because there is a Hanover Bike Walk Google
Yeah.
that's public, but yes.
Or
Good point.
website that Alex is going to improve?
Yeah, it would be better, I mean, we can post it easily on the website. We'll make sure you get the link. But there's some really good work, really thoughtful stuff that the group has done.
I do have one, and the other Selectboard reports. I do have one item under other business. We need to appoint Alex to the Trescott Board. So I move that we appoint Alex to the Trescott Board.
So second.
Questions, answers, all those in favor?
Aye.
Add that one more to your
Add it
list.
to your list.
I have one question. Alex, when we were talking about Bobby Hitchcock and the other individuals who are working on elections, are you confident that September 18 will be okay? And will we be in Hanover High at that point?
That is the plan currently, and one thing that would be for that to be the location, I know Bobby has asked if there was a member of the select board, if there are, who's the best sort of point of contact if there are questions about space. But as far as I'm aware, and we've been talking almost daily, there's a lot of work happening, getting everything organized, but she feels very confident that they're going to be able to do everything that they need to do.
And certainly the men and women who have been working on Hanover elections for decades
Yes.
are familiar with the Hanover High space. I mean, we moved over to the field house during COVID times just because of the spaciousness of it. But everybody can set up at Hanover High like with their eyes closed, as long as we get the administration, the school administration to agree.
Do you know, is there anything that needs to be done with the school administration, or have they been talked to all?
They are,
Not
staff
necessarily.
is on it.
Yeah, I will make
Yes.
sure to follow up on that, and then if there are questions about space, Peter, are you the best person for?
No, we don't usually,
Okay,
if anything, it would be the moderator, wouldn't it? Jeremy
Jeremy?
Eagleton? He's
okay.
the person who oversees all of the elections.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a
don't
good
you
point.
think?
That's a good point, Joanne.
Yeah, we are kind of, it's not not ours per se.
Okay.
In New Hampshire.
Maybe it should be, but
Yeah, I think
It's
there were
never
some
been-
questions about who ultimately made the decision. and-
It
It's
is
him.
Jeremy.
Yeah,
We
that's-
do have specific, now that these guys have reminded us all, and I looked at the New Hampshire state, right, we get this, what is that thing, a wire binder every year from the New Hampshire Attorney General Office. And our role is spelled out, but it's pretty minimal.
Right.
It's more the moderator. It is all the moderator, really.
I will follow up with the clerk about that and make sure the space issue, that we're all good on that front, and everything else feels very confident about. So,
The reason that the high school gets involved, Alex, is that means that they can't conduct their physical education program
Right.
in that area. And we are also, using their public hallways, their their students are trying
Right.
to use their public hallways. And so we want to make sure that that's pretty frictionless.
mhm. Yeah,
And
that is the
obviously-
plan, as far as I understand it, that's the plan right now, is high school.
And the primaries are easier. When we get to the generals, especially 2022 generals, are going to be,
Right.
hold the reins on the horses.
Okay, any other business? Hearing none, there's been a request for a non-public session to discuss items pursuant to RSA 91A32A, C, and E.
Bill Garrity, yes?
Athos Gracias, yes.
Peter Christie, yes.
Nancy Carter, yes.
Joanna Whitcomb, yes.
We are in non-public session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just I'll stay here.
We stay here
Yeah.
if they can,
When they
do
were
the
crap
closes
up.
down.